Trent Langley married Ann Frawley, there wasn't a happier man in the world than her father, Carson Frawley. But as time went on, something about Ann's letters began to bother him. I'd been working as roundup boss on his Wyoming Vodka 3 spread for a while, so the old man asked me to head south, see what was wrong.
Nice friendly town you got here.
Unless you're playing dice or visiting with the Almighty. Better get off your knees, cowboy. Don't figure it weren't on purpose. I can bring him close enough to raise a blister. Where are you from?
You ramrod for Major Langley?
Answer my question, cowboy.
I came out of the Verde 2 days ago.
You ride a double-fire saddle on one of them bitty grazing bits. That's North Country rigging. Wyoming, maybe?
Or Colorado, Texas, Arizona.
A lot of Wyoming boys come down here with a wide loop. We lose a lot of cattle that way.
Maybe you ought to read this letter.
Never learn how to.
I'll read it for you.
You don't need to. You're Vint Bonner. Major thinks you got a good gun. See that one over there? That's Cole David. It's his summer name. I told you his real name, you'd stand real straight. Cole was ramrod before me. But I got a gun takes up where his leaves off.
You chew over every visitor that comes to town?
If that visitor happens to be thinking of swapping jobs with me, then I likes to break him down some, look inside him.
What did you see?
Not much.
Maybe you ought to take a second look.
I got a good gun, Bonner. Save maybe for two, the Major's and another. Ain't none can match it, none. You keep that to mind, you're going to live a long life. You don't, you're going to get dirt in your ears. Your health. Let's ride, cowboy. Wills? This here's Bonner.
Major?
Howdy. Well, Bonner, of course, you know you're on the Cimarron. She's the biggest ranch there is. Wild and untamed, and only two things hold her together. Guts and gun smoke. You think you can take orders?
From the right man? Yes, sir.
Now, let's see how good your reputation is. Well, that's not bad for first time, almost as fast as Will's here. And him with all his practicing. Now, there's one thing you have to remember. Don't go near any bushes where a muzzle of buckshot can be poked through. Like Cherokee Daniels, eh, Wills?
That ain't no way to talk, Major. Ain't a gun can match mine.
It ain't?
Save maybe yours.
That all?
Maybe Rocky Jake Thomas down to Fort Griffin.
Bonnie here just come from that country. You can deal Thomas out.
Did he gun down Rocky Jake?
Fair fight. Drilled him with lead belly to brisket. I want to put you two cow nurses in the same saddle. You just been to Siam, Wilkes. Got yourself a twin.
Can't be but one ramrod.
Yeah. Guess you're right. Yep. And this gun rules this ranch. And I rule this gun. Now get on down to Chow House, tell Wang Ling to rustle up some grub. You know, a man remembers better what he sees than what he hears. I'll get a fresh horse and show you around. Come on. Well, how do you like what you see?
Well, up in Wyoming, they say you're a pretty good cattleman. For a brush popper, that is.
Wyoming? Them boys up there can't make enough to keep a chicken in scratch less than they got a front lawn 40 miles wide to pasture cows on. But we got an operation here, raising our own kind of cattle. Short on horn, long on meat, bringing the railroads to us. And not driving ribs and hide 1,000 miles to it. We blast our own wells, raise our own feed.
Major.
Now, I have a proper man's regard for the Almighty, Bonner. But he helps them who helps themselves.
Major, you said a man that looked like me was gunning for my hide. Why?
I had over 100,000 head of cattle 2 years ago on this ranch. Now this year, I guess I had less than 90,000. Now them 10,000 just didn't take an ocean to wander, did they?
Rustling's big up in the Indian Nation.
Oh, it ain't an Indian or a common Chad come near this spread. 'Cause I got all the top guns of the frontier punching these cows. Yeah, and I got a big-time maverick. Right here on this ranch.
You mean Wills?
That's right. Only he ain't paired.
Paired?
Every man on this spread is paired with a man just as fast as he is with a gun.
Why?
Oh, just so some puncher won't start his own spread up some little box canyon, say.
Well, what's to prevent two of them from getting together? Ganging up on you.
$5,000 reward, double pay, just for the information. And that information don't have to be alive.
And you want to pair me with Wills? You don't even know me.
Well, you got a big name in Wyoming, and the fact that a good bluff in a poker game is the same as good cards.
And I don't know Brocky Jake Thomas.
Most don't know that. Old man Carson Frawley sent you to sniff about his daughter, didn't he?
That's right. He's worried about her.
Well, you can tell him his little girl is all snug and warm. We're getting civilized around here. I don't even brush my teeth with a twig and ashes no more. I use a toothbrush.
You're a big man in these parts, Major. But the rattlesnake doesn't know that. Drop the gun or I'll put a hole through you front and back.
Well, well, if it ain't John C. Fremont, the old Pathfinder. You been out picking flowers, Mr. Fremont? Or you a snuffy little Injun what can track bees in a blizzard?
Only a fool would smoke in these mountains. There's a wind. It carries the smell.
You know a lot of things, don't you? Folks hereabouts know how smart you are? Or just Brocky Jake Thomas?
I never knew Brocky Jake Thomas.
Oh, I know that, Bonner. I've been in your hip pocket all the time. I heard me everything you and the Major talked about. Everything. Why don't you put that thing to bed, huh? A little nervous, ain't you?
Just careful.
You know, the reason I know about Brocky Jake is because he works for me now. I'm going to own that ranch someday. Because I made myself a little discovery. And I know what to do about it. You can give that back to the Major's missus. I don't need it no more.
Langley?
Yes. You would be Mr. Bonner.
That's right.
He worked for my father.
Yes, ma'am. I was his roundup boss.
Well, then you had to be good. How is he?
He's fine, most of the time.
Why did he send you down?
He's getting old, Mrs. Langley. I expect he's concerned about your happiness.
My husband has given me the largest ranch in the world. My every wish is fulfilled. Shouldn't that make me a happy woman, Mr. Bonner?
I got a different idea. This ranch is more like a bronc you're ready to mount, trembling, ready to explode.
What are you talking about?
For one thing, Jack Wills.
A man like my husband who wants to control an empire in the midst of lawlessness must resort to odd procedures.
Sometimes empires fall due to odd procedure.
Whatever else Jack Wills is, he's always been loyal to my husband.
Mrs. Langley, Wills is on his way right now to Fort Griffin to bring back a pal and declare himself new emperor.
A pal?
A man named Brocky Jake Thomas, a gunman. Wills asked me to give you this.
He must have waited until I was away. I haven't written in it since. What happened today, Mr. Bonner, between you and the Major?
I shot and killed a rattlesnake close to him.
I knew it wouldn't last. I knew somehow something would do it.
July 21st, Clint had another seizure this morning. He and the men found some rustlers up by Hayes Fork. In the fighting, one of the men was shot dead next to Clint. He managed to return to the ranch house. No one must know he is helpless. September 4th. The seizure of the last 2 days is over. I have hopes. January 10th. Clint shot a steer to help turn a stampede. It had no effect on him. I feel he is cured.
What does that mean, Mrs. Langley? What are these seizures? What do they do to him?
Clint Langley was married before. A long time ago. His wife died at childbirth, but she left him a son, Toby. When the war began, Clint joined the Texas Volunteers and Toby went north. He was blowing a bridge. Well, a gun muzzle was pressed into his back. At that moment, the bridge blew and the concussion knocked both men down. Well, Clint managed to gain his senses quicker. He killed a man. But he bent down to change uniforms. The man he saw was Toby. How can it happen that when one man meets and kills another man, it's his own son.
It's that kind of a war. Brother against brother. Families split down the middle.
Yes, it was that kind of war. And I had to write it all down in my diary.
You couldn't know this would happen. You couldn't know he'd find the diary.
What will he do?
I don't think Wills is sure yet. That's why he sent for Brocky Jake Thomas, for insurance. If the Major won't fight, he simply scoops up the ranch. If he does fight, he sicks Brocky Jake onto him. Wills is pretty sure he can take care of me.
But we have plenty of men to outnumber them.
They know the score, Mrs. Langley. They're not going to do a thing until they find out who's got the right bullets.
But he can't fight. He won't have a chance.
He'll have to fight, Mrs. Langley. Otherwise, he's dead. Oh, he'll walk around, breathing, maybe. But other men will walk over him just as if he were earth.
Can't you do something, Mr. Bonner?
It's going to take two men. And the only two men around are the Major and me. You've got to take me to him.
Clint, it's Anne. Can I come in?
Door's unlocked, Ann.
Clint, I brought Mr. Bonner.
Ann, I told you.
All right, Clint. Mr. Bonner knows.
Worse than that, Wills knows. How about your weakness? You got a hold of your wife's diary. And he followed us today, heard and saw everything that happened. When I shot that snake, he put two and two together. He's got a partner, Brocky Jake Thomas. What are you going to do?
I just can't do nothing. I can't do nothing. I'm not well. I'm a sick man.
Major, there's only one way. That's you and me and a pair of guns.
No, I just can't do it.
You gonna let Wills take over the whole thing? This whole place you've worked years for, you, Mr. Texas, bowed to by every man who ever burned a brand, sitting looking through his fingers like a little girl with a horned toad on her knee. I don't think you understand, Major. I'll help, but I can't do it alone.
All this could have been his. Everything here could have been my boy's.
But that's past, Major. Years past.
But what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? He hated me. He hunted me like a killer. What kind of a father was I?
A busy father, Clint. A busy father in a violent time. A time that shut out the closeness of a son. You weren't the first and you won't be the last.
Major, this is Ben Gibbons from over the 3 Pass section. I got a message for you. You Bonner?
What do you want?
Wilson Thomas just come through 3 Pass. They aim to tack lead onto anything gets in their way.
Now you listen to me. Get out of here. I got plenty of bullets that'll fit your carcass.
How did they get here so fast?
I don't know. Thomas is probably on the ranch all the time, just waiting for Wills to call him.
He's worse than ever. Violence
can overcome a man till he learns that Death is only a neighbor that comes to borrow a cup of life. Something for a little while.
And how does one greet this neighbor?
I remember a man in the war once. Lost his nerve during an attack. Knelt on the ground, trembling like a rabbit. Then he got shot. The sight of his own blood shocked him on his feet.
And I need a bandage. And get me my gun.
Likely they're gone.
I can't vision that.
He's not a man anymore. Got a sickness, I tell you.
You got a woman?
Right handsome, too.
Come on. Shotgun.
That's right.
Blow you to pieces.
You home, Langley? You got visitors standing here? New owners might say.
Like a poker game, Major. Watch their eyes.
Well, look at them now, Brocky Jake. Two puffed up coyotes stepping like wolves. You ain't shooting rocks now, Major. Most like poker, I'd say. Only bluffs don't work. And the jackpot's blood. Your blood, Major.
You aim to run this ranch on wind?
I got a saying for your gravestone, cowboy. Forever rest in pieces.
Isn't it something when a man can hold his head up again?
Gonna be an early winter. When you've been on the trail days on end, a little of the desert loneliness seeps into a man. Like the dust itself, hot, cutting. That's when you remember there's a town somewhere up ahead. And suddenly, you want to go there. He even began thinking of a town like Sunset.
From my horse!
The man didn't matter, Scar did. I shot wide.
I ain't no horse thief, mister. Honest, I ain't.
Well, not a very good one, anyway. Here, let me see that.
No. Well, it's better than dying out here on the desert than getting caught. All them rewards and them posters, but they ain't hanging Link Jared. You heard of me, ain't you? Everybody's heard of Link Jared?
Yeah, I heard of you. You're liable to make a very famous corpse. Now, let me look at that.
No. Too bad your shot didn't do it, mister. Must be, 3,000 on my head by now. Not counting yesterday.
It's your time you're wasting.
That stage depot over to Sunset. That man in charge, a real duty stickler. Acted like the company money was his own. He's the one who shot me in the back.
How'd you get way out here without a horse? It's 20 miles to Sunset.
Had a horse. He broke his leg stumbling over a prairie dog hole. You know, it's a rotten shame, mister. Happened to shoot a horse.
You're making me cry, Jared. Come on. Give me your arm.
Where are you taking me?
I'm taking you to Sunset. See the doctor.
Sunset? They got a posse on my trail. They'll lynch me for sure. I swore nobody's ever gonna lynch me.
Nobody's gonna lynch you, Jared.
Your word on that?
My word.
All right. You gotta give me your word on one thing more, mister.
What's that?
You gotta believe, I ain't no horse thief.
Come on.
Get you. Vent, the last I heard you were in Laramie.
Good to see you, Doc. Give me a hand, will you?
What have you got there?
A patient.
A patient?
Lucky I ran into you. He stopped a couple of bullets. Maybe you could get him out and patch him up.
Who did it?
I found him this way.
Oh, you know Wes Flagler.
I know, Wes.
Heber Grant? The young fella's new since you were here. He snaps Bronx at the Bar V. Evan Case. Man in the back is Mr. Martin.
Just call me Gopher. I'm new most everywhere, because I just keep traveling all the time.
That's far enough, Flagler.
What call you got being so upshot with me?
I think maybe you know.
Know what?
This man's Link Jarrett. I gave him my word I'd see that he got to a doctor and that he got a fair trial. There's not going to be any necktie party.
It's Link Jarrett, all right. There's no mistaking that face. He's a foul, murdering animal.
What's so funny?
Well, we just come from one lynching, Bonner.
What?
No sense in running a good thing into the ground.
That's right, Vent. We were just on our way back to town.
You mean you weren't looking for Jarrett?
What'd give you that idea? We was looking for Gene Carley. We found him.
What about Carley?
Well, you remember him, don't you? Robbed Jet Hill's general store a couple of years back. Almost killed the old man.
I know, but
He broke jail last week, went over to Marshalltown. Showed up in Sunset yesterday. Tried to hold up the stage depot. He killed Sam Foster doing it.
And you strung Carley up for that?
Well, not too high. Just a couple of feet off the ground. We found him hiding in a cabin over by Walnut Creek.
Drop a liquor?
Doc, were you a party to this?
I came along to see that everything was done in a reasoned and decent way.
A reasoned and decent way to lynch a man.
There wasn't no doubt about his being guilty. That's what you're driving at, mister.
And seeing as how they ain't got no judge over at Sunset, and we'd have had to wait till fall for a formal hanging, we sort of speed things up a mite.
Well, I don't know what I can do for him. He's not worth saving.
But you doctors had some sort of an oath about saving people's lives. Whether they're worth it or not.
Well, if I'm going to do anything for him, you got to build me a fire. I'll need a few other things. I haven't got my bag with me. No substitute for chloroform, but it'll help some. Unbend and rest yourselves, gentlemen. It'll take a little time before he's good and numb. What a crucifying waste of good whiskey. You standing guard, Vint?
I'm not playing judge and jury, Doc.
You mean about Carley?
Yeah, about Carley.
I saved his life once, a long time ago. Because I remembered my doctor's oath. He went on robbing and killing.
That how you excuse yourself?
I studied hard so I could use these hands of mine to help people in need. Good people. Not anything like this, or Carley. When I heard about Foster, suddenly it all festered up inside of me. And I wanted to see Carley dead, hanging and kicking.
You're on your own, Doc.
I'm waiting for the time you dig one last hole, Gopher.
for yourself.
Never can tell where you're gonna strike color. Lord cooks in queer pots his wonders to perform. Gold is where you find it. Any old place.
Muley old button.
When you was talking up this necktie party, you give me to think there was a reward out on this Carly fella. Was you speaking the truth?
That's why you're out doing your civic duty, Mr. Martin? For the reward?
When a hill rat like me gets a feeling he's gonna strike it, he's gotta have a stake fast. Well, I got that feeling about a place up Manitoba way. Only I ain't getting no younger. I gotta get there. I gotta get there.
Can't you play something else? Something don't sound like we was at a funeral.
I happen to like what I'm playing.
You know what's eating him? He was building a stack to a Nestor gal, and she went and throwed him over.
Shut up, you hear?
Throwed him over for a sheep herder. A smelly mutton puncher. Bah!
I told you this.
You wanted to show her what a big man she passed up, going on a lynching. But you couldn't even watch it, could you? Made you sick to your stomach.
You enjoyed it, though, didn't you, Flagler?
Huh? I didn't mind none. I'm gut sick of guys like Carly going around taking what they want, getting away with it. You gotta make an example of her. Before you know it, nothing will be safe. Man's ranch, his family, nothing.
You must have bought a spread, found a wife, and raised a family real recent.
What's that?
I was just remarking.
Well, I don't like your remarks. I wasn't talking about me in particular.
I see.
Fact is, I don't like your whole snuffy tone. You've been running off at the mouth like a prairie preacher ever since we met up.
Hey, Vent. You got Jarrett's gun?
Why?
I need it.
Leave it.
Keep this barrel in the fire. I've got to go into his back after that bullet. I'll need that to cauterize when I'm through. Who will I send the bill to, Vent?
I robbed a state depot, and I killed a dumb duty stickler, but he had it coming, and I ain't hanging for it. Nobody hangs like Jared. Nobody hangs like...
That true, what he said about killing Sam Foster?
Man doesn't confess to something like that just to hear himself talk.
Then we lynched an innocent man.
Didn't you, Vent?
Yeah, Doc, I knew.
Why didn't you tell us right off?
You'd already lynched one man. If Jared never got back to Sunset alive, nobody'd know about your mistake. I didn't feel it was fair to put you in the way of temptation.
Nobody has to know now. Do they, Doc?
You'll still do your best, won't you?
It couldn't have happened that way. It just couldn't. We was right.
Nobody knows nothing. The Lord cooks in strange pots.
Maybe Jared was making that all up. Everything he told you.
How do you know about the robbery at the depot?
Well, he might have... Well, I don't know. You see what I'm driving at, kid. We can't be wrong. Can't we? Look. Now, we know Carly broke jail. And then somebody said they seen him in Sunset yesterday. Yeah, it was Paul Trimble said it. And then we picked up Carly's trail right at that stage depot, didn't we? And that trail led right to that cabin on Walnut Creek where we found him.
He admit to the robbery and the shooting?
You don't expect a man to admit a thing like that when he knows there's a rope waiting for him, do you? Look, Doc, what...
Lent, you gotta believe I did my best. Only my best wasn't good enough. I will prescribe regimen for the good of my patients, according to my ability and judgment, and never do harm to anyone. I will preserve the purity of my life and my art. I haven't thought of that oath for years. I appreciate your bringing it back to my mind. You must believe me. I tried, Vint.
I believe you, Doc.
Hey, what are we all standing here so long-faced for? Jared's dead. There ain't nobody to say if he killed Sam Foster or not. Nobody.
Nobody except you. Hey, Vint?
That's right. Nobody but me.
Now, wait a minute, Bonner. You're a reasonable man.
I try to be.
Well, maybe we did go off half-cocked. Suppose we did even overstep the mark a little.
That what you call it? Overstepping the mark a little?
All right, we're sorry. But there's nothing we can do about Carly now.
No, not a thing.
Well, we thought we was right. Maybe Carly wasn't guilty, but he was a killer. He deserved what he got.
He wasn't guilty of the murder of Sam Foster.
What difference does that make?
The law should have its say. The law's what keeps us all from turning into animals. You hang one man outside the law, and all the rest of our lives are a little bit cheaper.
I can see you're set on stirring up a hornet's nest, ain't you? Well, you go ahead. You got no proof. It'll be his word against ours. We'll say Carly confessed. Everybody in Sunset will believe us.
But I wouldn't dare bet on that. Vint Bonner's word carries a lot of weight, gentlemen.
Well, you sound like you was turning against us, Doc. Well, I ain't taking no chances of people saying we murdered Carly.
You put that gun away.
Look, I know they don't call you the six-shooter for nothing, Bonner. But there's 5 of us.
Five? You sure?
Yeah, and they're all in the same boat with me. Now, you going east and you ain't showing your face in Sunset again.
I'm taking Jared to Sunset, and I'm going to say what happened.
Well, you heard him, boys. We ain't just going to stand there like he's being milked.
Oh, Flagler, let's handle this thing clean.
What do you mean?
Holding that gun proves how wrong we've been. If we were right, you wouldn't feel the need to use it.
You're turning yellow, Doc. That's what's wrong with you.
We're all yellow. Like Doc says, afraid to own up clean that we're no better than killers ourselves.
Shut your face, kid.
Only I ain't afraid anymore, neither.
Just like Doc.
Me, I only know one thing. Ever since this happened, there's been a stink hanging over me, like the smell of a rotten swamp. It's gonna be kind of hard getting used to myself.
What's the matter with you guys anyway? You letting Bonner stare you down? Now, you're forgetting something. I didn't drag you out after Gene Carter. You come on your own. You was all puffed up like good citizens doing your duty.
We listened to you, Flagler, because all of us had some deep down reason for doing what we did. I know what mine was. Something I've been toting since I was born. I had to strike back some way. At somebody.
You better throw your hand in, Flagler.
If I get out of this, I'll be heading for Manitoba, Mr. Flagler. Wouldn't be surprised if that's where I'll be digging my last hole.
Yella! Yella, all of you! I guess you think I'm turning rabbity too, don't you, Doc? You think I'm afraid to use this? I could gun Bonner down and you'd all be in it with me. Now, how'd you like that?
Flagler, you were born to be a failure. That's your deep down trouble. There's no reason to believe you'll be a success with that gun.
I'd feel better going in and facing up to this with you, Doc. You coming?
I'm going to stay here and help Bonner with Jared.
Thanks. I think Flagler will help me.
This is the only kind of help you'll get from me.
I'll meet you in Sunset, Vint.
If it hadn't have been for you, folks would have said we done fine. They'd have looked up to me for once.
That might be true.
They'd have been glad to get rid of Carly. Nobody would have known about Jared. Why'd you have to meet up with him anyway? Why?
Because his pony tangled with a prairie dog hole. He needed another horse.
Well, that ain't no reason.
No, I guess it isn't. Maybe like Gopher said, the Lord cooks in strange pots. Stayed since the Indian uprisings. It's a beautiful country down that way. But mighty empty and mighty lonely. Along about noon, I was beginning to figure I'd got myself lost. The sign said Minton, all right, but it didn't show which way. I looked over and Scar was headed southeast, so that's the way we went. Maybe Scar'd smelled water because we hadn't gone more than a mile when we saw a house. An old ranch house, just about 1,000,000 miles from nowhere.
Hello? Anybody home? Some water?
You're so stingy with your water? I'll leave if you'll show yourself.
You can leave right now, mister.
Well, now, just a minute, ma'am.
I mean it. Strangers are not welcome here.
I kind of got that idea. I don't mean you any harm, ma'am.
What are you doing here?
I'm on my way to Minton.
You came the wrong way.
I know, but the sign was down at the fork a ways back. It'd be closer for me to go ahead than to turn back, wouldn't it?
Mister, I don't care which way you go, just so you go.
I'll go. I'd feel a lot safer if you'd put that gun down. You don't have any cause to shoot me, ma'am. I'm on my way to Minton to buy cattle. My name's Bonner, Vint Bonner.
Vint Bonner? Were you ever in the army?
Yes, ma'am. I served as a scout with the cavalry, but that was some time ago.
I think I've heard my husband speak of you. I'm Hannah Guilford.
General Guilford's wife? I knew the general. I was with him at Fort Clark just before...
I realize I've been rude, but I need someone to help me.
I'll do what I can.
Then I wonder if you could stay here for a while. Oh, I won't keep you long. Just have a meal with us and talk. It would do the general so much good.
Oh, ma'am, the general was killed.
I know he would be pleased to see an old friend. You can't imagine what it's like to be alone all the time.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I just don't understand. I thought...
You thought the general was dead. I know. That's what everyone thinks. But it isn't true.
But the Fort Clark massacre...
General Guilford was not killed at the Fort Clark massacre.
The Cheyennes slaughtered the garrison down to the last man.
They did not kill my husband. Don't you think I ought to know?
I'm sorry, ma'am. It just doesn't seem possible.
I thought you'd understand. But you're just like all the others.
I'm sorry.
Just go away, Mr. Bonner. Water your horse and go.
When I got to Minton, I knew I had to locate Joe Kennedy, the cattle dealer. But first, there was a little more I wanted to know about Hannah Guilford. So I stopped at the place that can generally answer my questions about a town.
Yes, I know how you feel, Mr. Bonner. It's mighty sad about Hannah Guilford. Mighty sad.
I sat through that army hearing myself, all of it. Not one man got out of the fort alive.
Well, everyone in Minton knows that. Everyone except the general's widow.
Well, can't anyone make her understand?
Yeah, people have tried. I've tried. Yeah, she just flies off the handle, just like she did with you. Bob Price there works for Joe Kennedy.
Took a shot at you, did you, mister? Guess old Hannah's back on the firing range again.
Well, I don't think it's that funny, friend.
Well, we were warned to steer clear of Widow Guilford. Reckon you should do the same. You looking for Kennedy?
Yeah. Know where I can find him?
Keep an eye on Hannah's range.
Yes. Town has to have someone to laugh at. Hannah Guilford is a good target. I guess I'm about the only person she sees now. I go out there every month or so and take a load of provisions. I said to her, I said, look, Hannah, if the general's alive, let me speak to him. Show me. Yeah, and she'd try. Poor woman would take me into the house. There wasn't another living soul within miles of that place. Not a single living soul.
Best thing for me to do is to get my mind on something else. See about the cattle I'd come for.
This Bonner's the latest one that's happened to. In 5 minutes, Hannah took 2 shots at him, asked him into the house for dinner, and then slammed the door in his face. I think I've got a right to know, Sheriff, just what you're going to do about her.
I got no ground to do anything, Kennedy. You know that.
When she starts shooting at people, it's time to clear her out of there.
Hi, Bert.
Bonner! Good to see you, Vint. What brings you to Minton?
Cattle. I'm looking for a man named Joe Kennedy.
You found him.
I'm Kennedy.
Oh.
Glad to know you, Mr. Bonner.
Glad to know you, Mr. Kennedy.
Everyone's heard of the 6-shooter. How many head are you in the market for?
Well, first I'd like to see what you've got.
Oh, not too many and not too fat. Grazing land's been pretty dry. But why not come out to the ranch in the morning and have a look?
Thanks, I'll do that. Did I hear mention of a little problem when I came in?
Afraid you stirred up a hornet's nest, Vint, stumbling onto the widow Guilford the way you did.
I hope I wasn't the means of causing her any trouble.
Nobody wants to cause her any trouble, Mr. Bonner. But if she's starting to get violent...
More than likely I frightened her coming up on us suddenly like that.
I've got some grazing land next to that ranch of hers. My boys have to work out there. I wouldn't want any of them getting shot.
Sure you don't want me to run her out, Kennedy, so you can take over her ranch? It would fit in pretty well with that spread of yours.
Oh, I don't deny that I could use it. In fact, I offered her $6,000 for it. A run-down place like that. If she wouldn't take that kind of money, she's got to be out of her head. Now take what she did to you.
She didn't cause me any harm, Mr. Kennedy.
Hannah Guilford may be hard to understand at times, but she's the widow of a mighty fine man. The general died defending his territory. If it hadn't have been for men like him, the Cheyennes would have burnt this town to the ground long ago.
That may well be. But his widow's still a dangerous woman. I'll see you in the morning, Mr. Bonner.
Right. Looks like everybody in town's got pretty strong opinions about Hannah Guilford. One way or the other. I didn't know exactly what I thought I could do. But before seeing Joe Kennedy in the morning, I wanted to have a talk with General Guilford's widow. I figured she'd heard me ride up. When I reached the porch, I heard something that made my flesh crawl.
William, if you'll sit quietly, I'll read to you. I don't want to argue anymore. You must try to understand. I thought Mr. Bonner would be a welcome guest. I meant you no harm, Will. I'll read to you from the book of Proverbs. Who's there? Answer me. Who is it?
I'm sorry.
Oh, Mr. Bonner. What are you doing here? I don't like people prying.
I just came to pay you a little visit. I know how it is to be lonely.
Well, that's very kind of you, but...
May I come in?
Very well, if you like. It's plain, but it's my home.
I see.
I'm afraid you got a poor impression of me today. But there's no reason to worry, really.
I heard you talking to someone when I came up.
Talking to someone? Oh, no.
I was sure.
You heard me reading. I often sit by myself and read in the evenings.
I see.
I get very lonely to hear a human voice. So I sit here and read.
At the table?
Yes. By the light. Don't you believe me?
Yes, ma'am. I believe you read by the table.
You see, there's nothing to worry about. I'm perfectly all right.
Good night, ma'am.
Good night, Mr. Bonner.
By 11 next morning, I'd pretty much finished my business with Kennedy. Like he said, his cattle weren't much to look at. And there weren't but a few I liked well enough to buy.
How do they look to you?
I can use about 50 head.
50?
That's about it. Andy and his men will be along in a few days to drive them north.
All right. But it's hardly worth the trouble.
What's this? Looks a little like a posse.
Maybe that's just what it is.
Who are you after?
General Guilford's widow. Don't you think that... Now, look, Bonner, this don't concern you. You don't have to work out there. My men do. You can forget about it when she threatened you with a gun. We don't intend to.
I was out there last night. She seemed fine.
We've had 5 years of it. Time we put a stop to it.
Don't you think that's a job for the sheriff?
Bert Jessup won't raise a finger. It's up to us.
And Hannah Guilford.
We're not going to hurt her. All we intend to do is to send her somewhere where she'll be cared for and not bother anybody.
Where's that?
The state home up at Capital City. And nobody's going to stop us.
I never did believe in ghosts, and I wasn't about to begin. Please don't, General.
You're Brent Bonner, aren't you? Why couldn't it have been someone else? Why did it have to be you?
I don't know what you're trying to do, but I came here to warn your wife.
Warn Hannah?
Yes, there's trouble coming. I thought she ought to know.
Well, there was no... Mr. Bonner, why can't you leave us alone?
I don't mean to bother you, ma'am.
It's all right, Hannah.
It was bound to happen sooner or later. Well, it's for the best. Don't you see that?
I don't know.
What are you going to do with us?
I want to help you. There's some men coming from town to
Do what?
Send you away. Seems you've got the whole town of Mitten thinking you're a dangerous and violent woman.
Send me away?
To the state home. I don't know what you and the general hope to accomplish by all this, but whatever it is, your time's running out.
Will, you'll have to help me. Well, please, it's time to face the truth.
Face the truth. How do you do that? How do you go for years hiding something inside yourself, and then one afternoon let it all come out into the sunlight? How do you do that?
Are you sure you have something to hide, General?
Am I sure? I've had time to make certain, wouldn't you say? I thought in time people would forget.
I tried and tried to make him see. A man can't bury himself, wish himself dead.
I know, Hannah. I know you did all you could. This is your reward. They think you're a dangerous woman.
What else could they think? But I was willing to let them think anything. If you wanted it that way, Will. I wasn't looking for any reward.
I know, my dear. I made you pay a terrible price for loyalty.
Not just for loyalty.
I know you wondered my reasons for all this.
Yes, sir. I do.
Did you ever do something that suddenly made you realize you weren't fit to live any longer? How would it sit with you to know that I was nowhere near Fort Clark when it was attacked? I'd been sick for weeks. The time came when I couldn't stand it any longer. The medical corpsman at the fort couldn't help me. I thought it would be safe to chance a trip to a doctor. Safe. Half the Cheyenne tribe just over the hills, and I thought it would be safe.
But you didn't know.
I should have known. I knew the Indians wanted that fort. A good commander would have known where and when they would attack. They saw me go. When I left the fort, there were 3 of them on a hill over the trail. Those 3 Indians were Cheyenne scouts. They saw the commanding general leave the fort. 3 hours later, they attacked.
General, that's not the reason.
When I learned, I went back and I saw every single man killed. Everyone burned, mutilated.
William, please.
And the finest part of my triumph, when I tried to report, they were saying I was a hero. I had made the great sacrifice. The gallant commander died at the head of his garrison. I couldn't face anyone after that. I came back here to die. I've been dead ever since.
Mr. Brown, some men are riding toward the house.
Mrs. Guilford!
I'm afraid they mean business.
I'll talk to them. What do you want?
Thought we'd like to have a little talk with you, Hannah.
What about?
You know me, don't you? Joe Kennedy?
Of course I know you. But I'm busy now.
Hannah, we came all the way out here just to see you. You know we're only interested in your welfare.
Well, that's very kind of you, but...
I'm not going to hurt you. Not a bit. Now, Hannah, I want you to hear me out carefully. Now, all we're thinking about is what's best for you. You know that, don't you?
Well, yes.
Sure you do. The point is, Hannah, it's not good for you to live this way.
I'm perfectly happy.
But it isn't right. You've got to be where people can care for you, where you won't be alone.
I'm not alone.
Do you know what they're doing to your wife out there?
Hannah's very loyal. She's
Loyal? What kind of a price does she have to pay for her loyalty? You not only buried yourself, you buried your wife with you. Now you go out there to her. Stand up.
You know that's not true. That's what you've got to understand, Hannah.
Let go.
The general's not here. He was killed in that massacre.
Let go my arm, Mr. Kennedy.
Bob!
Will!
Honest, no,
Will, come and help me!
We're going to take him.
Will, come show him!
Can't help you. He's dead.
He's not dead. Let me go. Will! William!
Settle down, Hannah.
Help me! Will! William! William!
Settle down, Hannah.
Help me!
Nobody's going to help you.
Will!
Gentlemen. Leave my wife alone. There's no reason for my wife to be tormented, gentlemen. Not any longer.
Put it away, Price. You won't have an easy time of it for a while, sir, but there's one thing you've got to remember. No one blames you.
I know better, Bent.
I'm telling you the truth. The Army held an investigation of the Fort Clark massacre 3, maybe 4 years ago.
Did you see the testimony?
I was there. I heard it. That's why I know you were cleared. Even if you hadn't left the fort, the Indians would have destroyed it. They came in from the north in greater numbers than ever before. The court agreed it was only because of the defenses that you erected that it held out as long as it did. Otherwise, the Indians would surely have gone on to burn Minton.
You see, William, you did save the town.
In the eyes of everyone concerned, you're a hero, alive or dead.
Thank you, Mr. Bonner.
I'll be going along.
Can't you stay with us for a while?
You'll have plenty of company. Both of you. The storekeeper was right. A town has to have someone to laugh at. But it needs someone to admire, too. And once they got to know each other, Minton would be looking up to the general the way it always had. And to the general's wife.
Who's there? Russ? That you, Russ?
No, it's me, Floyd Wilbur. They're coming, Floyd. I've seen them from the ridge.
How many?
15, maybe more. It's getting dark. 15 anyway.
That ought to be enough.
Oh, that leg, Floyd, looks awful bad. You ought to do something about it.
Why'd you come back here, Wilbur? How come you didn't run off with the rest of them yellow-livered skunks?
Oh, I started to, Floyd. I sure did, but then I got to thinking I couldn't leave you here all alone, not the way you are, and that posse coming.
You knew it'd be a fight, and you came back?
I'm here, ain't I?
You know what you're in for?
Oh, I've seen you get out of worse. It's like as not you'd have done all right alone.
Yeah? I got 4 rounds in this one, and none in the other. That made the odds a little rough. Here, load them for me.
Huh?
My guns, load them!
For Floyd,
You got bullets, ain't you?
Yes, but I never thought I'd live to see the day that Floyd Winters had trusted his guns to another man.
You earned it. You didn't run off with the rest.
If your brother Russ had been here, there wouldn't have been nobody running off.
Yeah, but Russ ain't here. Go ahead, Wilbur. Load him up for me. Funny thing, ain't it? Live with a man 5 years. Don't even know him. Here, I figured you'd be the first to yell out and...
I'd spotted a campfire maybe 15 minutes back, just before the trail swung down from Yellow Mesa into the canyon. I'd run into Sheriff Preston and his posse a while back. He told me about finally catching up with Floyd Winters, dead.
That didn't hold for Floyd's brother Russ, who was just as mean and still alive. Maybe that campfire had just been my imagination. I'd had a tough 3 months' work pushing cattle over Shepherd Pass. Now I was headed for Single Pine. Figured on spending a couple of days unwinding.
Get your hands up, Russ. Hi. Hi, I said. I ain't bluffing. You ought to know that.
Something you ought to know.
Oh, don't turn around. Just stand like you are here. You ain't Russ.
I could have told you that.
I thought the way you were standing there.
You thought wrong.
I'm sorry about that. Who are you anyway, and what are you doing on this trail this time of night?
My name's Bonner.
Bonner? Vint Bonner?
Yeah, and suppose you put that gun away.
Yes, sir. I even heard Floyd Winters talk about you.
You knew Floyd Winters? That's nothing. It's just my horse.
Well, I thought for a moment that...
I've been on the trail all day. There's not a soul within 20 miles.
You ain't lying to me. I didn't mean that. Don't pay no attention to me. I'm just kind of upset.
I figure you got a right to be.
What do you mean by that?
You're Wilbur English, aren't you?
Well, how'd you know?
Not too hard to figure. The way you had me pegged as Winters.
Then you know.
Yeah. I ran into Sheriff Preston a while back. The whole posse's talking about it.
Talking about it? You mean it?
Well, the way you shot Floyd Winters.
How about that? 2 days ago, nobody ever heard of me. And now they're... What are they saying?
There's... Well, you'll find out soon enough.
That was something, wasn't it? I mean, me knocking over Floyd the way I did.
That was something.
3 years they've been after him. 3 years they've been trying to get him, and I've done it. The top gun like you ought to appreciate a thing like that.
I'm not a gun.
No, I didn't mean that. I mean, you got a reputation for taking care of yourself. Well, I guess I got one now, too, huh?
Yeah. You've got quite a reputation.
I bet they're all talking about it back at Single Pine.
Single Pine?
That's where I'm supposed to meet up with Sheriff Preston. He told me to go on ahead while the rest of the posse kept after Russ a while longer.
What are his plans?
Well, he's going into Cheyenne tomorrow, deliver a prisoner, and he promised to take me with him. That's where I'm going to get my pardon in Cheyenne and the reward money. Of course, the reward money don't mean nothing.
Well, Preston's a good man. He'll take care of you.
I got to get to Single Pine first. I got to get that far on my own.
It's only a short ride.
Well, I thought, well, you were heading to Single Pine. Well, maybe we could ride in together.
You'll do all right.
Bonner. Mr. Bonner. He's after me. Floyd's brother Russ. He swore he'd kill me. Bonner. I'm begging you. How could it be too much to ask? I'll make it up to you. I'll give you half the reward.
I'll take you in.
You will? Honest?
Just shut up. One thing I can't stand. I'll put my bedroll over here.
I thought, well, maybe we might go on tonight.
Tonight? I've been pushing it since dawn.
I know, but out here, I don't think I'd sleep.
Get your horse.
You won't regret this, Mr. Bonner. I swear it.
Yeah.
I'll get my horse.
English. Just one thing.
Yes, sir, Mr. Bonner.
While we're on the trail, let's say you just ride in front of me. Well, we rode on through the night. Wilbur didn't let up a minute. Just kept twisting and turning in his saddle, looking over his shoulder, like any minute somebody was going to send a bullet slamming into his neck. Here we are. What's the matter?
Well, that fellow over there.
Where?
At the hardware store. I can't see him real clear, but it looks like Russ.
Looks a whole lot more like Ben Fletcher. That's his hardware store he's leaning up against. Come on inside.
Hello, Pop.
That's a fine way for the sheriff to be tending his job. Supposing there had been Russ out there.
Well, it wasn't. Besides, that's not the sheriff. That's Phil Waterman, his deputy. Hey, Phil.
Huh?
Wake up.
Oh, Ben Bonner. I heard about you working cattle over on the Shepherd Trail.
Yeah, 3 months of it.
Figured on doing a little unwinding.
That was the idea.
You sure picked a quiet place for it.
I see what you mean.
What? Oh, the nap. I didn't get a wink of sleep last night.
Say, where's Mike?
Well, I lit out for Red Rock about an hour ago. Some noise about Russ Winters being spotted. Yesterday was 3 other places.
Russ? You mean they ain't found Russ yet?
You talk about being foxy. That Russ Winters had slipped through a crack and choke a lizard.
What about the sheriff's trip to Cheyenne?
Put it off. Hey! Get out of here! Fool mutt thinks this is a butcher shop.
Put it off? You mean his trip?
That's what he said. Leave tomorrow, maybe next day.
Well, what am I supposed to do? Just sit around and wait?
Who's your friend, Vent?
Thought you knew. This is Wilbur English.
Ah. Well, so that's Wilbur English.
Listen, Phil.
Name's Mr. Waterman.
Well, you got to understand. The sheriff promised he'd see that I got to Cheyenne.
Which he will when he goes himself.
What's he doing about it? He's out gallivanting around.
Now, you looky here. Mike Preston said he'd take you to Cheyenne. He'll take you there. He ain't never gone back on his word yet, not even to no murder and... I forgot. You ain't no outlaw no more. You a public-spirited citizen. All right. You get yourself into that hotel across the street and you stay there. When the sheriff comes back, I'll tell him where you are.
Ain't there no place for me here? I mean, back there?
Cells are full. The hotel, Mr. English, across the street. How'd you ever get mixed up in anything like that?
Kind of accidental. I bumped into him on the trail last night.
Floyd Winters needed killing. There's no arguing that. I guess we all owe English something.
Yeah, I suppose so. Say, the drought let up around here yet?
Why, sure, we got 2 new saloons since you was here.
I didn't mean that. I want to get a bath.
Oh, that. But you can go down to Daggett's 2 blocks down the street if you think you have to.
I have to. See you later. Hold it right where you are.
Take your hands out of my bag and keep hold of whatever you've got. Wilbur, you picked the dangest time to get hungry.
It ain't for me, Mr. Bonner. It's for him.
Him?
Poor little fella. Oh, he eats like he ain't been fed in days.
I thought Phil told you to go to the hotel.
Oh, yes, sir, he did.
Well?
Well, I mean, didn't he act sort of funny? I mean, the way he talked to me? And
That's Phil.
Oh, he talked like I was a nobody.
Now, go on to the hotel like he told you. Mike will be back tomorrow, and that'll be that.
Yes, sir, I was just fixing to.
All right.
Where are you going?
I've got some business to attend to.
Ain't you going to stay in that hotel over there?
Wilbur, you're not afraid to cross the street, are you?
No, sir. No, it's just that I figured, well, since you were staying in town anyway,
Come on.
Couple rooms. Sign your name. $50 apiece.
$50?
In advance.
Look, I was thinking, well, the price of the rooms, well, maybe if we was to share one.
No.
That'll be room 16 and 17. Wilbur, English.
Hey, Charlie, it's Wilbur English. You boys heard of me?
Well, sure we heard of you. You're a legend. Ain't you a legend, Charlie?
Well, a regular Daniel Boone here, Tell.
Yeah.
A real big gun.
Well, how about that? You know this fella done, Charlie?
Well, sure. Here's this mean old Floyd Winters, see? And he's got 2 guns right smack into this fella's belly. And do you think Wilbur English was scared? He was not.
Wilbur English ain't scared of nothing. He just looked at old Floyd Winters right in the eye and he went smack. Knocked those guns right out of his hands.
You fellas better not mess with me. You just find trouble.
Sure.
That's Vin Bonner.
Sure.
You hear what he said? That's Vin Bonner.
Oh, yes, it is, and I'm Davy Crockett. All right. I reckon I ain't got any argument with you.
Come on, Wilbur.
Give me a piece of paper.
Make it a yellow one.
I finally got Wilbur settled down, and don't think that didn't take some doing. Anyway, I was feeling kind of beat myself. That bath I needed, I could get that later. And I guess I must have been asleep about an hour when... Who is it?
Me, Wilbur.
Oh.
Listen, I got to speak to you.
All right, Wilbur, I'm coming.
He's here, Mr. Bonner, in Single Pine.
Who's here?
Russ Winters, he's right here in town.
Wilbur, you've imagined you've seen him a couple of times before, remember?
You call this imagining thing?
What is it?
Go on, read it.
You don't have much longer to wait.
You yellow coward, Russ.
Well,
Where'd you get this?
he slid it under my door.
Did you see him?
I didn't have to.
Look, if Russ Winters were in town, he wouldn't waste any time sending you notes. He'd be calling on you personal.
No, you see, that's just what he would do. He'd like nothing better than to just sit there and talk.
If you don't let me get some... You've got me doing it. Jumping at sound. I give you my word that note doesn't mean anything. It's probably those boys in the lobby.
Why? Well, I thought everybody would be grateful for what I'd done. They've been after Floyd for years, and here I go and do it for him.
That's true.
And now they act as if it were wrong, as if he was some kind of hero or something.
Floyd Winters was no hero, I'll grant you that.
Then why are they all against me?
They're not against you. It's just the way you shot him. And you were a member of the gang.
Well, I ain't never denied that. But I wasn't mean like Rustin or Floyd. They just sort of had me hanging around. I guess I did do my share of harm, but I never killed nobody. All the time I was with that gang, I never killed nobody.
You killed Floyd.
That was different. He was an outlaw, wasn't he? He had it coming. Everybody said he did. Oh, listen, if I hadn't have shot him, there'd have been more killing. And the posse was coming, and well, I was sort of saving their lives.
And getting yourself a pardon and a reward.
I wasn't thinking about that.
You weren't, huh?
What good to do me anyway? Russ is out hunting me, and everybody's acting like they'd like to see him get me. Like I was some sort of dirty coward or something. And you think I'm a coward too, don't you?
I didn't say that.
But you're thinking it. I can tell you. You're just like all the rest of them, all of them. Well, I ain't. I ain't a coward at all.
Sit down, Wilbur.
I'm going out there, see? I'm going out there in the street, and I'm going to call out, Russ? Russ, you out there? Will you come on out here, see?
Wilbur, sit down.
You can't stop me. Nobody can. Calling me a coward?
All right. You're not a coward.
You're just saying that.
No, I mean it.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. I mean it. You're not a coward. Sit down, Wilbur.
Okay, except that, well, I didn't want you to think that...
All right.
Mr. Warner.
What?
There's a train this afternoon leaving for Cheyenne at 4:30.
What about it?
I'd like to be on it.
You're supposed to sit tight.
I know, but it's only a question of time.
Look, if I were in your place...
I know, but you're not in my place.
That's true, I'm not. Well, what'll you do? I mean, after you get to Cheyenne?
I don't know.
You got some folks? Place, maybe? Everybody's got a place.
No, I never had.
4:30, huh? I'll see that you're on it.
The way they tell it, the train was 20 miles up the line, just pulling out of Red Rock and gaining speed. Not many people had gotten on. Wilbur was sitting by the window looking out at the scenery. In a way, I was kind of sorry to see him go. Not that I'd gotten to like him or anything. Anyway, I reasoned that'd be the last I'd ever see of him. I was right. Because there he met Russ.
Russ! Listen, you gotta listen to me! Listen to me, you're Floyd! The posse was coming and I was scared!
Look, I hate knocking the dead as much as anybody. What am I supposed to do, bleed for him?
Guess you're right.
I just can't figure you, Vint. I mean, a dirty little coward like that.
Just that he wanted so little. Just to be wanted.
That's my point, what I'm trying to say. What's the loss? Who'd want him?
Who would at that? You've seen towns like this, where all you can see is one brand. This one was called Temple. The hotel, saloon, barbershop, everything Temple. Not that I've got anything against one man owning so much real estate. Sometimes it works out just fine. Sometimes it doesn't.
Well, as I live and breathe, if it ain't Will Fetter.
Well, how about that? In town and doing the marketing. Thought that was women's work.
You ought to make a skirt out of that flour sack, Will. Them pants are a little deceiving, ain't they?
I don't want no trouble with you fellas.
Trouble? You asking for trouble, Will?
No, I ain't asking for trouble. I ain't asking for anything.
No, Will, I guess you ain't.
Let me buy.
That yours?
You know what it is.
That's a shame, Will. Pretty little rig like that all run down. Ought to give it a coat of paint. Yellow, maybe?
Let me buy.
Like you say, it's your rig. Oh, gee, Will.
My flower!
Come on, fellas. Let's clean it up for him.
Oh, come on, get away! You're getting dirty!
Don't get any dirt in it, fellas.
Have a little straw! Oh, you're getting dirt in my flower! Settle back,
Careful you don't get hurt.
Come on, fellas!
3-1. The odds are a little better now.
You're playing it alone. You'll get no help from him.
All right, what'll it be, one at a time or both at once?
You know what's good for you, mister?
I never seem to, somehow.
All right. All right.
Ned?
You talking to me, mister?
Aren't you Ned Techman?
Name's Fetter.
Red, see he gets back to the ranch.
10 years ago, down Cheyenne way.
You got the wrong party. I ain't never been in Cheyenne. You can call off your hounds, Temple. Chew me up all you want to, but you're not going to push me off that land.
Cattle starving, place going to dust. The way you run it, you're not even fit to be on that land.
That don't happen to be the way I see it.
I told you what I'd give you for it. $2 an acre, that's a fair enough price.
Not 2 an acre nor 20.
I want that land.
No!
I've never made any bones about it.
No, do you understand? And I'm warning you, Temple, you stay away from there.
Go on. Tell me what you do. I'd be real interested to find out.
Sure.
Well, that's a waste of good whiskey. Depends on what you use it for.
Joe, give me the bottle. There's quite a show you put on out there.
I'd heard you were good with a gun, but your fists.
You are Clint Bonner, aren't you?
Sure.
Yep, quite a show.
Depends on how you look at it.
You mean Will? Let me tell you about that. People around here don't particularly care for Will Fetter. He's as yellow a coward as a man can get. You can call him names, insult him. He'll just stand there and take it.
Where I come from, a coward is a man you leave alone. Unless he's got something you want.
Well, there isn't much in this region I don't already have.
You'd be Temple. I should have known.
Where are you headed, Bonner?
Pine Valley?
Oh, yeah. They pay top wages up there, I understand. 20 a month, bunk and board. I'll pay you 30. 30? In advance. If you like my deal, you stay. You don't, you keep your 30 and you're on your way.
Your payroll seems full enough. Why ask me?
You can always use a good man. All right. Let's say I make it 40.
You can go after a man. You go after a man to get him, don't you?
If he's worth it. Well?
That fellow, Will Fetter.
What about him?
I knew a man who was a spitting image of him. Named Techman. Real nice fella. But a real heller when he gets started.
You haven't given me your answer.
Tell me something, Mr. Temple. Anyone ever turn you down?
Not for long, Mr. Bonner. Not for very long. Shall we go?
Temple seemed a fair man. Tough, but fair. Food was good, bunkhouse clean, and $40 a month was a lot of money. But the real reason I hung around was that I wanted to see my friend Ned Techman, who now called himself Will Fetter. Even you aren't low enough to shoot a man in cold blood.
A lucky man, Will. I had this aimed right where your guts ought to be. His calf, it's dead. Usually ain't so generous with trespassers. You can call this a warning.
This is 2 in a week. How much am I supposed to take?
You mean how much is your wife supposed to take, don't you, Will? It ain't 2, it's 3. Me and Chavis found one across on the creek bed this morning. Must have got into some poison.
You know, you're really gonna have to do something about that fence of yours, Will. You ain't gonna have no stock left at all.
That fence was all right yesterday.
That was yesterday.
Honest, I'll...
Yeah, Will? That's right, Will. You cry. But a little calf like that ought to have somebody crying over it. Wouldn't you say so, Red?
I'd say so.
What about you, Bonner?
man up, push him around all right. But poison his cattle, cut his fences.
Well, I thought you ought to know. I already know, Mr. Bonner. Fact is, I'm the one who gave the orders to cut down the fences and put the poison out.
Why?
I want Will Fetter's land.
You've got 30,000 acres and you want his 150. $40. Keep it.
All right, go on. Go on. You've seen Will Fetter's side. Hang mine.
Tell me what kind of a side you could possibly have.
This is temple land, Mr. Bonner. Do you have any idea what that means? I was 5 years old when I came here. Only it wasn't just me then. It was me, my mom, my pa, my two brothers. And what do we find? Rich, green meadows. Not a blade. It was all yellow and brown and dust. My pa is soft. He's all for going back. But not Ma. She makes us take it and work it. Makes us trench water from the hills. And our hands are raw. Still we dig and we work and we dig. She keeps at us and it grows. We're fighting every kind of varmint you can think of, human and animal. But it keeps growing. And we keep it ours. And then the war. I go. My brothers go, but when I come back, I've got no brothers, I've got no Ma, I've got no Pa, and no land either. The year I leave, Ma dies and Pa takes over. Without her, he's nothing. You should have seen my land when I got back. People crawling over it just like ants and poking at it and poking at it.
So you set out to get it back?
Every piece. 20 years it takes me, but I get it back. They're willing to sell, I buy. They ain't, I push.
All except Will Fetter. He wouldn't push.
Don't you credit Fetter with anything like that. It's his wife who's holding out. Her land. Her pa left it to her. But why she wants to keep it and will either is beyond my understanding. You ought to see it. I can stand on the ridge and look down on it, and there it is, smack in the middle of Temple Land. A smelly, brown island, dusty. You just have to see it. It's right back where it started 50 years ago. Then I think of my pa, yellow like Will, and what he did to that land. Where are you going?
You said to seize land. That's where I'm going. It didn't take a thinking man to understand Temple's hatred for Will, or anyone he thought yellow or coward. Wrong about Will or not, they both had Temple's pa to thank for that.
Get away from here! Isn't enough to tear down our fences, poison our herd. Now he's sending his men in here.
Nobody sent me, ma'am. I'm here on my own.
Don't tell me. What are you doing here?
I'd like to talk to your husband, ma'am.
Never mind my husband. I asked you, what do you want?
Oh, then I'd like to talk to you.
Go on, talk.
Well, ma'am, I don't talk so good with a gun pointed at me.
Will! Will! Will!
Hurt you, Mrs. Steckman.
All right, Bonner, what do you want here?
Now you know me.
It's all right, Sarah. Is the coffee on?
It's on.
I was feeding the bull. You better finish, honey. Still take it black?
You have got a good memory.
I ought to. We drank enough coffee together.
But to let them push you around, destroy your life, destroy your place, that's not the Techman that I knew.
man you knew 10 years ago went to prison. Killed a man and got 20 years.
You broke out.
No, nothing like that. I was released 4 years ago. I'm on parole, Vin. One wrong move and I go back. Do you understand what I'm saying? It don't have to be my fault. Just crook my finger. Look cross-eyed, maybe. Make one mistake, just one.
Does your wife know?
Yeah, sure she knows. I tell you, Vent, without her,
Does anyone else know?
No one. I got a kid coming, Vin. That kid has got to have a chance.
Here, in this place?
It's got to be here. This is all we got.
Can't you do something? Fix the place up?
How?
Well, you've got two hands.
I've got two hands. And my wife's got two. And what do you think 4 hands can do with 150 acres when half the time I'm out there mending fences and burying cattle? You know how many bulls I got left, Vint? 1! I tell you, once that temple starts, he don't let up.
Couldn't you get someone in, someone to help you out?
Oh, Vince, you're not listening to me. You haven't heard a thing I said. The word's out on me. I'm poison. I come in here sometimes at night alone when Sarah's asleep. I picked this thing up, Vint. I load it. I think what it can do for me. Both ways. Then I start thinking about prison. And about going back. And then I think I'm in prison. I begin to wonder which is worse.
That's not the answer, Ned.
It's an answer. Not a good one, maybe. But it's all I got. You're not going to tell him. Not Temple. No one. Now keep out of this, Vint. This one's mine. Whatever I do, it'll be my way.
It always was, Ned.
Will! The bull! They poisoned the bull. It's dead.
Bonner?
We're waiting for you. Want to talk to you. So you swallowed his whining, is that it?
He wasn't whining.
Not much he was, and I can guess what he said.
No, you can't.
But there's something I'd like to tell you.
You ain't, Vint.
Well, looky there. If I don't see
a gun, Temple, pointed right at your belly. Now, who'd ever believe a thing like that?
Ned, listen to me.
Shut up, Vint. I told you once, no more. Keep out of this.
Listen to him. Hey, don't he sound right powerful? For 2 red cents, I'd...
What, Temple? It's your turn. Tell me what.
Yes, sir. Tough. Real poison.
Especially when he's got the drop on an unarmed man.
Give him your gun.
Ned, think what you're doing.
Give it to him!
No. What's the matter, Will? Run out of sand so quick?
I'm gonna kill you, Temple.
Ned, sure you are. But not from out there. Come close. Get yourself a good clean shot.
All the things you've done to me and my wife.
Closer. Few feet closer.
My stock, my home.
There, that's the place. No man could miss from there.
You're talking yourself into a coffin, Temple.
I ain't talking myself into anything. Go on, Will. Pull it. Man wouldn't be afraid to pull that trigger.
Stay right where you are, all of you.
No, you won't. Stay out of it, Bonner. I ain't asking to be saved for a thing.
Not you I'm saving.
Stay out of it.
What did you say Temple would do for us? Build a new fence?
And replace your herd. Start you off with a couple of milk cows.
George Temple said that.
Also loan you some money. Maybe to build a new room for the baby. That was my idea.
Will, a new room for the baby. Do you hear that?
Then it just don't make sense, you know that. You cut up a man and prove him wrong. He comes after you with a shotgun. He doesn't hand out presents.
You proved a lot more than that to Temple. You proved to him that you belong on the land.
Even after you're telling him about my being in prison?
He won't tell anyone. He'll keep his word.
Well, what am I supposed to do? Just shake hands, Mr. Temple? No hard feelings? What say we just forget the whole little... You think I'd give him that after what he's put me through?
I don't know. That would take a pretty big man.
Will, if he meant what he said... Then...
I don't care what he said. I'm not taking any handouts from Temple.
You always were a hard-headed cuss, but I never knew you to pass up a good thing.
It's mine to pass.
Not all alone, it isn't. That barn of yours is in bad shape. Comes the rain, it's gonna leak buckets.
I got buckets.
That's good, because you sure won't be needing them for milk without any cows.
Sarah?
Yes, Will?
Have you still got that blue dress?
Yes, somewhere, but
Well, get it on as fast as you can. I'll hitch up the buckboard.
And Mrs. Stackman, don't worry about dinner. If I know Mr. Temple, he'll ask you to stay.
Well, go on. You want that new room for the baby, don't you? It's going to be a race to get it built as it is. Not that fast. What are you grinning about?
Who's grinning?
Thanks, Vint.
I hope it's a boy.
I was coming back from the spring roundup at the Long T. 40 days with the sound of stray calves bleating for their maws and their same maws bawling and bellowing back. Nights of using your back for a mattress and your belly for a blanket and nothing but chuck wagon grub. I was headed for San Simon where Laura and Newt Bascom had promised me a civilized meal when I got back. Fried chicken, fresh vegetables, chokeberry pie with meringue. You know, I was beginning to feel kind of desperate to get there.
Howdy, Miss Bascom. Can I be of any help?
Well, look who we got here. Sure is good to see you, Vin.
Good to see you, too. Still trying to make things grow, I see.
Still at it. Doesn't look like the roundup took anything out of you.
Well, it didn't put anything back into me either. Don't tell me you forgot. You said fried chicken and all the fixings, remember? Something wrong, Mrs. Bascom?
You're always welcome at our table, Vin. You know that. But I'm afraid the change that's come over Newt wouldn't make it very pleasant for you.
Change?
He's not the same man.
What happened to him?
Paul, our son, went to Silver City on some business for his father. A month ago. He was killed in the streets by a brawling cowboy on a spree. It was an accident. A stray bullet.
I wish I knew what to say, ma'am.
Out here you've struggled to make something take roots and grow. The land's against you. It's wind and drought, floods. But worst of all, I think, is the evil men do. So maybe when you're in San Simon again, Vint, you'll drop by. Next time, Vint, the Lord willing, he'll be himself by then.
He's the only law we got hereabouts. No sheriff, no judge. Just knowing that should be medicine enough for a man like him. The only place in town that served food, if you could call it that, was the Lucky Dollar Saloon. That steak was pure discouraging, and the coffee was almost killing.
That was a good one. Come on, give us another one. Come on, Dad. We know that funny.
Wait a minute. What's the matter with you, boy? Don't you know how to laugh?
I wasn't minding you, mister.
Well, maybe it's about time you did. Now, come on, let me hear you laugh.
Brother Todd's talking to you, Sonny. And when one of us cottermans pays a compliment like that, folks always shows proper respect.
Go on, Todd, make him laugh. Let's hear him laugh. I'm waiting, boy. Come on now, let me hear you laugh.
Mister, the biggest joke in this place is you. You're a real clown. And running you a close second is them two comical brothers of yours. I
could just busy my sides laughing at all of you. But I'm not horning for trouble.
I'll show you who's a clown.
Hold it, Ben.
You stay out of this, Bonner. Ben, Todd's dead.
Hand me the gun, real easy. He asked for it.
That ain't the way I look at it. Me neither. We'll get that kid. We'll run him down. Sooner or later, we're gonna find him.
Maybe so, but right now we're going over to Newt Bascom's.
That law wrangler ain't no marshal. He's got nothing to say about it.
Do as I say. Move along.
Anything I can do, Ben? I'm beholden to you, Adam. We'll see. All right, I'm ready. Let's go. I want to get this over with fast. Because me and Cyril got things to do.
What'd you expect me to do, Vint? You know there's no such thing as law in San Simon.
Haven't you let your thinking get a little bit twisted, Mr. Bascom?
Just stating a fact.
That's a fact you never accepted before. You've always tried to point the way till the law did come.
I was a fool.
You're wasting my time.
Even in towns where they've got a marshal or a sheriff, the law's a mockery. Didn't keep my boy from being shot down. Never brought his killer to justice.
All this talk's letting that kid get a big jump on us.
We're forming a posse and going after that boy. You hear, Ben?
Yeah, that's fine with me. I just want to get near him, that's all. We'll leave him the lucky dollar. Just don't take too long about it.
You'll excuse me.
Newt, maybe a little time before I get back.
Get back? What are you saying?
Look, Ben and Cyril Cotterman don't mean to take that boy alive. Somebody should be there to stand for the law, whether he wears a badge or not.
Well, Laura?
I'm going with the posse.
You're shaming me into going. Is that it?
I'm doing what I think is best. The way you thought once.
You're letting a young saddle tramp come between us. Someone you never even saw. You know that if you go, I'll have to go.
I'm sorry, Newt. I want to thank you, Vin, for bringing Ben Cotterman over here. You didn't have to mix in. This isn't your town.
It's not going to be any cinch bringing that boy back. He'll head for the Vaca Negras. It'll be tough going.
I've got to do it, Vin. For his sake. I'm praying it'll make him see things right again.
I'll get the horses ready. We'll be ready when you are.
We?
I don't have a town, ma'am. And maybe that's all wrong. Maybe everyone should have a place they'd like to see take root and grow right.
trying to cover his trail, counting on making the Vaca Negras and losing himself. Young fool, probably never even stopped for water. Giddy up.
About 19, young drifter, you know the kind. Mostly nameless.
Nameless?
Yeah, they call themselves Curly or Sandy, maybe Slim. Get their education in bunkhouse brawls and barroom fights. And they think they have to use their gun just to stay alive.
Ain't you trying awful hard to make him sound like an altar boy, Bonner?
All I know is he did all he could not to be pushed into a shootout.
That snake mean to me. I sure hope I'm right.
What made you so bloodthirsty, Sam?
You got me all wrong, Bonner. Onely, I'm a peaceful soul. Truly, here doing my citizen's duty just like you. And freely, wouldn't be no fun hunting a rabbity boy or spicing it.
Age.
Try to get some sleep, Newt.
Yeah, let's all get some sleep.
Third day in the saddle. About the only riding I'd ever seen her do before was in a buckboard. I wondered what kept her going. Newt Bascom must have been wondering about her too. Wondering how he could live with a woman for 25 years and not know how strong she could be.
You sure that boy's worth all this?
Suppose somebody asked that about our son. When he was all alone in Silver City and got caught up in something he couldn't help and then had to run.
Laura, maybe you were right in shaming me into coming along.
Ben Carterman wasn't wondering about a thing. He was just like an animal close to the kill.
won't fool you. Yeah, there's no use riding you into the ground. You aren't the one that had words with that loudmouth? He ain't got a chance now. He can't make it on foot. He's up ahead there like a yeller dog with his tail between his legs.
Would you have done that, Ben? Leave your horse and go on foot with a posse on your trail so as not to ride him to death?
Let's go.
Up so no one can get behind him.
That boy sure can shoot. It ain't going to be easy.
As long as he thinks he's going to be lynched, there's going to be more bloodshed.
Then what are you going to do?
Try and talk to him.
That's far enough, mister.
I want to talk to you, son.
Go ahead and make it quick.
I can promise you a fair trial. With the judge from Tucson.
You ain't no marshal. What's it to you?
There's two fine people down there that would like to see things done the right way. The lawful way. I like the way you handle yourself back at the Silver Dollar. And I like the way you went off alone in the desert, gave your horse a chance.
Well, that's the way it is. I'm sticking it out.
All right, if that's the way you want it. But remember, you're either on the side of the law or you're all by your lonesome. I had a feeling you understood that.
Wait.
Yeah?
You and the ones that want to go on back to San Simon. Just leave me a horse. You can pick mine up on the way back. I'll be along.
Have I got your word on that?
On my word, if I'm still alive. You know as well as I do that them Cottomans ain't gonna budge.
All right. See you later.
We come here to get him, and we ain't leaving till he's got you. Here?
The manhunt's over, Ben. Whoever wants to stay can. I'm taking the kid's word.
That's what you think, Vint.
That's what I think.
Well, I didn't take him. Low-crawling dirt. All of you.
Just sit there, you got a gun, use it! You've been prodding me, mister. You and your brothers have been prodding me too far. Now go ahead and shoot! Please don't shoot me. Don't shoot me.
You handled yourself real good.
You don't keep your word very good, Mr. Bonner.
I thought you might need help. See, I was wrong. Jason here's gonna need to be put up someplace while you're waiting for that circuit judge from Tucson. After all, you haven't even got a jail.
We've got a place in our house. It needs filling.
Yes.
Town's not bad. Sometimes things happen, that's all. Guess I just couldn't sit around and watch another innocent boy get killed.
Is that all right with you, ma'am?
I'd like that real well.
Like you said, Vince, I guess I let my thinking get twisted.
Well, the boy had a home, and the home had a boy. Being alone in this big, empty land has a kind of terror to it. But it all stops the moment you belong to someone. Or someone belongs to you. During the spring months, I'd been working as foreman for Josiah Austin out on the Circle 8. We had a plow due in on the stage, so I was on my way to town.
Now, don't you keep Finn waiting around while you decide between Dimity and Calico.
I won't, Daddy.
Here's a little extra so you can buy both.
Thank you.
Now, you take good care of her, Vint.
I'll do that, sir.
There's Vince!
Gallagher, you lose your head? How come the free beer?
Election bet!
Look, when you got your things ready, I'll carry them for you. I'll be over there.
Drinking Gallagher's free beer?
No. Waiting for the new plow.
Howdy, Vin. How do, Miss Celia?
Hello, Sheriff.
You sure picked the right day to come into town.
You managed to keep the peace?
Yep.
It's the hotel? Yeah. 4 bits a day, in advance.
Josie Collins live here?
Who'd you say?
Josie Collins. This where she lives?
Yeah. This is where she lives, all right.
She in?
Well, judging from the time she was having last night, I'd say she was all in.
Free beer. The boys are having a little fun.
Well, there can't be too many rooms in this place. I'll find her myself.
First room at the top of the stairs.
Josie don't send that fresh kid packing, I'll run her out of town. And if you let him buy booze for that gin-soaked old Harridan, I'll run you out of town.
Josie, she'll pat him on the head and send him on his way. All right, Vint, how about that beer?
Later. I gotta pick up my plow.
All right, boys, you want any more?
It was lunchtime and past before Celia was through shopping, so I bought her a steak at the Cattleman's Rest next door.
That was a good lunch. Thanks.
I'll bet you they don't feed you that way back east.
I like it better here. This is where I belong.
Hadn't had a robbery in a long time. So the young stranger, the one who had asked for Josie Collins, was naturally suspect. Celia and I, being witnesses, were asked to identify him.
Zach, I don't know why Celia has to be dragged into this.
Well, I'm sorry, Josiah, but we need every witness we can get. McCann says that Smith is the same height and build, all right, but that's as far as he'll go. Lind, I was counting a lot on you. You seen this kid close to when he got off the stage yesterday.
Yes, I did. But I wasn't close to when the robbery happened. I couldn't say it was Smith, not in good conscience.
Well, you saw how seedy he was dressed when he pulled into town yesterday. Well, last night when he showed up at Gallagher's, he had $1,000 on him.
Sheriff, this Smith, where does he say he was at the time of the holdup?
Claims he talked to Josie Collins for a while. And he went down the outside stairs and spent a couple hours walking.
Did Josie back him up in this?
Josie left town late yesterday. Went out on the return trip of the stage while we were out looking for Smith.
But Zach, the kid didn't have a horse, remember? He came in on the stage. The hold-up man ran down the alley and jumped on his horse.
Yes. And who gave him a horse, Sheriff, and $700 more than the bandit got in the holdup?
And another thing. Would he pull a hold-up and then run right into your arms?
This kid might. He's got more gall than a timber wolf. You think I held up the express office, he says. All right, prove it.
Well, he's right. I thought everyone was innocent until proven guilty.
Celia, you're here to identify this man, if you can. Not to argue with the sheriff. All right, Zach.
Come on.
Well, I'll say this for you, lawman. You sure try hard.
Miss Austin, I'd like to have you take a look at this prisoner. Tell me if he's the man you saw run out of the express office yesterday.
I can't say. Everything happened too fast.
You mean you won't say this is the man?
It isn't fair. If the answer has to be yes or no. No.
Looks like I'll have to turn him loose. Thanks anyway.
Zach will see to it he's out of town by sundown.
Why?
Why? Well, he's certainly not the type fellow we want around here.
Dad, what are you saying? You know nothing about him.
You heard him. Refused to tell where he got the money. Refused to state his reasons for coming here. The sooner he's out of town, the better. No room here for his kind.
If I was you, I'd be out of town before dark.
Sorry, Sheriff. I ain't hardly seen your town yet. Except Gallagher's saloon and your crummy jail. I think I'm gonna like it here. Saw one piece of scenery I thought was real pretty.
Now, you look at here, Smith.
Never did care for that name, Sheriff. Back home, they used to call me the Concho Kid. And that name I like. Now, you take care now.
Off my land.
Well, wait a minute, Mr. Austin.
Get out!
Johnny, wait!
Celia, go to your room. How did he get out here?
He rode out here. He invited me to take a ride with him, and I did. We had a fine time.
Celia, this isn't the kind of
You
fellow...
ordered me to my room. I'm going. Bent, will you see that my horse is taken care of, please?
The gall of him. No kid like that in my Celia. Well, the first question he asked when he got here was, where could he find Josie Collins?
Look, I don't hold any brief for any of this, but all I say is no one really knows anything about the boy.
I know all I need to know about him.
Yes, sir. Well, I guess you got yourself a problem. Hey, what's going on?
I just broke out of jail.
Oh, you've been out with Smith.
Look, I don't like to sneak out to see him, but Dad's left me no other choice.
Now, look, Celia, I can't help you disobey your father.
You gonna tell him?
Well, not this time, but I won't do this again.
You won't have to. Johnny's coming for me tomorrow night. He told me so. We're gonna go someplace where nobody knows us, and we're going to get married. Then Dad can either accept my husband or throw us both off of his land.
Oh, I see. How old is your, the Concho kid?
19.
Has he got a job?
Well, who'd give him a job around here?
Well, maybe he's got some of that 1,000 left. And a flashy horse and a flashy outfit.
He came by that money honestly.
How do you know?
Because he told me so, and I believe him.
All right, Celia, you can sneak off and get married if you want to and break your father's heart. Maybe your own, too. Or you can make an honest effort to bring your father around.
It won't do any good.
Look, honey, from where you sit, your father may be all wrong. But whatever he's doing out of love for you. You say you believe in Johnny Smith. How about having some faith in your dad?
All right. I'll tell Johnny we have to wait. I do love you, but I love my father, too. What Vent says is true, Johnny. We're both young. We can afford to wait a little if it means marrying with Dad's blessing.
You want to please your old man. Why don't you marry Bonner?
I love you, Johnny.
They'll take you away from me. You'll see. Your father never changed. But you will.
No, I won't.
Yes, you will. You changed already. Bonner gives you a sermon and all the things you said to me last night. Gone.
Oh, it's not gone. It's you who haven't any faith. Just give me a little time. Let me try to convince Dad.
Celia, look, I've been kicking the teeth too often to believe that anything good's coming my way.
Oh, sure, I used to think that if I had a few bucks in my pocket, nifty outfit like this, fine horse, I'd be king. Have everything I'd ever wanted.
No, Johnny, that's not enough. Not for you.
Celia, if a girl like you was to believe in me, I mean, if being my wife was all in all to you, above Bonner, above your father even, well, don't you see, sweetheart, that'd be kind of a sign to me that, well, Celia, I'm asking an awful lot of you, but marry me, right now, like you promised last night.
I want to, Johnny, but I can't. It just wouldn't be right.
Okay. I'm through begging you.
The spring horse races were about the most important occasion in the whole valley.
There he is. You'll have to admit he's handsome.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll admit it, too.
Now there, that's what I mean. Everybody's dead set against him.
On your marks, get set.
You know why I won so easy? My little sweetheart here was cheering for me.
Johnny, I want to talk to you.
Oh, I think it can be arranged.
You know, if I was Josiah Austin, I'd spank that girl and horsewhip that loafer.
Well, I'm not much good at giving advice to Lovelorn either. If that's the way you feel, I'm glad you're not her father.
Think your nag can beat Flash?
He might.
How much you think so? Enough to bet on him?
Too much to bet on him. Come on, Celia.
Scared?
Johnny.
Stay out of this, Celia. I say you're Mr. Bonner, scared.
I don't like to see a man with a horse he's proud of eat dust. But a loudmouth kid, that's another thing.
Get set!
That's a lot of horse. What do you want for him?
This car's not for sale.
500.
I said he's not for sale.
You wish you took that 500.
Don't move. Turn around, slow.
Your friend the sheriff staked out here too?
Just me.
Well, I was trying to steal your horse. At least to give this town something to talk about. Watching a hanging's more fun than most of these deadheads have had in quite a spell. Let's go.
Hanging's too easy. Besides, it's over too quick. I've got some other plans for you.
What?
I think I'll put you to work. Right here at the Circle A.
All the hands know that I'm a horse thief? See, they know it too.
Nobody's gonna know about it but you and me.
I'll bet.
That's right, it's a bet. I'm betting you're a loudmouth with no guts. And that once Celia finds it out, she wouldn't give you the time of day.
Bonner didn't say anything?
No, I never knew a thing about it until Daddy said he was giving you a job on Vince's recommendation.
Well, Bonner gave me this job for just one reason. He thinks I can't do it. And you watch. He'll make it so I can't do it.
Don't say that. Vince's the most fair-minded man in the world.
Well, I've got a surprise for good old fair-minded Vince Bonner. Whatever he dishes out, I can take.
It'll be wonderful seeing you every day.
I know, honey. Boss's daughter don't mix with the hired hands. Now, you remember that.
After I'd tried him on everything else, I thought I'd give him a crack at our rock garden. Never knew a ranch yet that didn't have rocks to be cleared. I see you're keeping busy.
Thanks. There's more rock and shale over on the south slope. You want me to clear that next?
No, I got some chicken coops I want you to whitewash.
Yes, sir.
Let me see that hand.
I'll wash them, teacher.
After you finish here, go over to Jeb. Get him to put something on those blisters.
Thanks, nurse. Back in Kansas, we used to feed a livestock bean cake. Puts weight on them fast and it's cheap.
Missed out we could grow beans here.
Oh, you kidding? Austin's got plenty of water on the northeast quarter section. Gravity flow. Beans practically jump out of the ground.
Tell it to vent.
You tell it to vent.
Don't be a fool, kid. Any hand comes up with a good ID, Vince sees you get a bonus.
I'll tell you what, Jeb, old boy. You can take the beans, the bonus, and Bonner. I'll give them to you free and clear.
Smith. Thanks for the tip about the beans.
It's Jeb's idea.
The last idea Jeb had was to raise on a busted flush. It's a good idea. Why disown it?
Well, I never did hold with bringing an apple to the teacher. Or beans either.
Come in. Sit down, Johnny. I expect you want to know why I sent for you. Well, they found the thief that robbed the express office. Also, we had a bet, remember? I said something about...
all mouth, no guts.
Yeah. Well, I think I was wrong. Sid, you think so, too. You know, there's a lot to this woman's intuition business. And Celia's quite a little woman.
Mr. Bonner, I'd like to tell you something.
Go ahead.
Well, first off, Josie Collins was my mother.
What?
Was. She's dead now. Over in Centerville. All alone. In a shack.
I'm sorry, Johnny.
Well, she gave me that $1,000. Sent it to me. That's how I knew I had a mother. Who she was. And where. I was raised in an orphanage back in Kansas, and I was found out to a farmer. You know, always I dreamed about finding my folks. Well, I found her.
See, do you know this?
No. I guess I better be moving on.
Why?
Well, I ain't got no right to see you. With my family tree. I can see that now.
Johnny, that's one good thing about this part of the world. It's what you are yourself that counts.
I'd have to tell her.
I think so.
And her father?
Her father, too.
He'd never in the world.
Not right now. Not for a while yet. You just go on doing like you have been doing. Finishing your job day by day. I imagine in a little while he'll come around. Bob Jefferson, whom I'd worked with when he surveyed the railroad route through Gorsom Pass, had asked me to look in on Father Luke at Santa Rosa Mission. Said he wanted to talk to me. I couldn't figure out how he knew me in the first place, and since I hadn't had much to do with priests, I was a little nervous.
Come in, come in.
Father Luke?
Yes, and you must be Mr. Bonner.
Yes, sir.
Come in, Mr. Bonner, and make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
How long has it been since you were inside a church, Mr. Bonner?
Oh, well, too long, Father.
Well, we're human in spite of what some people say. Please, sit down and relax. I'm sure it must have been a tiresome trip. A little wine, perhaps. We make it ourselves. We're very proud of it.
No, thank you. Father, I understood you wanted to transact some business with me. The word I got was urgent.
If it's business you want, business you shall have. Mr. Bonner, I sent for you because your name has come to stand for courage and integrity in this territory.
How can I help you?
Ours is an order of missionaries, Mr. Bonner. Some of us, myself included, have established missions in the most remote parts of this country. One such mission has not been heard from in much too long a time. I have been assigned to go to that mission and see that all is well with the priest.
Well, that shouldn't be difficult for you, Father. If I were to guess, I'd guess you to be an experienced trailhand.
You'd guess wrong. I have been concerned with other things. I need a guide, Mr. Bonner. A good one. I need you.
I'm not a professional guide, Father. Of course, if I knew the country...
I understand you know it well. Our trip will start here at Santa Rosa, go over into Arizona to Santo Domingo.
Santo Domingo?
Yes.
But that's strictly Indian country. I don't believe there's been a white man in there for years.
There has been one, and I must find him.
Could be dangerous, Father. There are no trails. We'd have to make our own.
I'm prepared for that.
I hope you are. Tally checks out just fine, Father. You've bought enough beans and meal to supply a whole army.
That's an interesting comparison.
I don't suppose you'd be willing to consider changing your mind.
I put it off much too long already. There'll be no more delays.
That about sums it up. We're ready to move.
Oh, Mr. Bonner, there is something else that I should tell you.
What's that?
The supplies on that wagon are not just for the two of us. There will be others on the trip.
That's a welcome surprise to me, Father. We can use a couple of good hands on country like that.
No, I'm afraid you don't quite understand. Good afternoon, sisters. Please come in. Mr. Bonner, Sister Marquette, and Sister Teresa.
Mr. Bonner, I'm very proud to meet you.
I'm happy to meet you, sister. And you, too.
Indeed, Mr. Bonner.
Father, I'm anxious to meet our passengers.
You just have.
The sisters?
That's correct, Mr. Bonner.
They are nurses as well as teachers. We are told that the Indian women and children are badly in need of such care.
They've been in need of such care for centuries. A little while longer won't make any difference.
A little while longer will bring snow, and that will mean the delay of another year.
Those Indians are hunting scalps, not reading and writing.
I don't hand out the assignments. I just accept them.
Father, it was bad enough to hope that you and I could make it alone. With these women along, we don't stand a chance.
You are a man of very little faith, Mr. Bonner.
I know the country better than you, Father.
You may know the country.
Excuse me, Father. May I have a word? Mr. Bonner, we have not come this far just to cause trouble. I think you know that. But we have our missions to accomplish. If we're successful, maybe it won't be so dangerous for the next ones.
I'm sorry I lost my temper. I realize that to ask a man to participate in a cause in which he's not really
Father,
a part...
Do you think these sisters know just what such a trip means?
I think we know, Mr. Bonner.
I think you don't, sister. Have you ever seen an Indian smeared with war paint with a scalping knife in his hand? Have you seen men and women staked out on the plain to die in the sun?
No, and I don't think you have, Mr. Bonner.
What can I do to convince you people?
Is it possible that I overestimated you, Mr. Bonner?
It's entirely possible, Father. I'm sorry. Good day.
a minute, sisters.
Here, sister, let me help you. There you are, Father.
Good morning, Mr. Bonner.
You know, I still couldn't believe that you intended to make this trip.
Oh, there's one more thing. If you'll give me a hand, it'll only take a minute. Then you can be on your way and we'll be on ours, huh?
It's a mighty handsome bell, Father.
I don't suppose it makes any difference to the Lord. But a mission doesn't seem complete to me without a bell.
Or a priest?
Sun's getting high, Mr. Bonner. The sisters and I should be hitting the trail.
Hold it, Father. If I can't talk you out of this trip, well, the least I can do is go along with you.
You have a very great talent. It isn't every man who can make one feel at home out in the middle of nowhere.
Think nothing of it, sister.
I think you should make some girl a very acceptable husband.
Coming from Sister Teresa, I would consider that a compliment of the greatest proportion.
Father, maybe you can tell me something. Why is it that women, all of them, always want to talk about marriage?
I would hardly consider that a basis for complaint, Mr. Bonner. Somewhere inside you, she sees a gentleness, a kindness. Like every other young woman, she doesn't want to see it go to waste.
But she's a nun.
And she's a woman, Mr. Bonner.
About 3 or 4 hours. We just as well stay there for the night. It's as good a place as any among these bluffs.
Well, now we'll get some rest, huh? Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
You do wonders with these dried beans, Sister Teresa.
It's a simple formula, Father. A cup of beans, a little luck, and 2 very hungry men who would eat anything after 4 weeks on the trail.
Amen.
I've got a favor to ask, Father.
Anything at all, Mr. Bonner.
Well, it's this Mr. Bonner business. Would you mind calling me Vint? All these Mr. Bonners will spoil me for when I get back among just everyday folks.
Well, speaking for myself, I should be delighted. As for Sister Teresa, you'll have to take that up with her yourself.
Well, sister?
I would consider it an honor, Vint.
Thank you.
Put it off wouldn't have softened the blow.
It looks like you've come a long way for nothing.
No, Vint. This is a beginning.
We are 2 men and a girl, Father. This was done by Apache warriors. They don't play by your rules.
Have we given them much chance?
What about the girl?
Sister Teresa may return with you if she wishes. That is a decision you will have to get from her.
Sister, we've come far into dangerous country. The Indians raided the mission once. They can do it again. If you wish, I'll take you back to your convent.
I know that you're only thinking of us. But what you see around you is not the product of defeat. It's more a reminder of all the work there is to be done. If I am to help, I must be where I am needed.
To do a man's work?
God's work.
Well, Father, you've got your bell.
A truly beautiful sight.
It's wonderful, Father.
50, 100 years from now, when men have forgotten the differences that caused the bloodshed here, they will still see the bell. But enough preaching for today. I think we owe ourselves a little celebration.
Leave him here. We've got to help him. We can't just leave him there. We can't leave him there. We've got to help him. But he's hurt. He'll die if we don't go fast.
Too late, sister.
No.
He's dead.
Not Father.
He's got an arrow clear through him. He was a fine man, but he was only a man.
And us? What about us?
We can wait.
It was a typical Apache trick to strike with terror and then wait for panic.
Anything?
I can't figure it out.
They should have rushed us by now. She was frightened, I think, but she didn't show it. She had real courage.
Is there any chance for us?
Some, maybe.
You can be truthful with me.
Sister, I don't know how many there are of them, but there's only 2 of us. These people haven't changed their customs for hundreds of years. To them, you'll be like any other white woman. They'll have no respect for what you wear or what you stand for. This could be it. I didn't know what to expect, but this could be the bait. I decided to hold my fire. Since he was alone, I'd better not show my hand yet. Looked like he was wounded, but I'd learned long before to never trust appearances where an Indian was concerned. Flowered shirt meant he could be a chief's son. He was hurt all right. Looked like he'd taken a bad fall.
There. That ought to keep it clean until he can get back to his own people.
You want to let him go?
Yes.
Let every blade in the countryside know that there's only 2 of us here?
I wouldn't be surprised if they know it already, Mr. Bonner. He's only a boy. I want you to let him go.
For the life of me, I cannot say why. But I did as she said. I admire your trust, sister. But we're getting out of here, even if I have to tie you hand and foot to do it. If you're wrong, we'll be dead by nightfall. If I'm wrong, we'll live a little while longer.
And Father Luke?
I'll dig a place for him.
By his bell, Mr. Bonner. I think he would like it like that.
This was borrowed time, all of it. By everything I knew, both of us should be dead by now. He broke the war arrow. I could hardly believe my eyes. That one act of Christian charity could conquer an Apache war party seemed impossible. Buffalo hides, blankets, each brought a peace offering. Sister, let me add mine.
Vint, I already have much more than I can ever spend.
Someday you'll have need of it. I knew she would be safe. It says in the book that faith can move mountains. It seems more important to me that it can move people. Ready cash in horses that year. You rounded up a wild herd, broke them, hired some hands to haze them to market. All it cost you was the men's wages and a lot of long, hard days and a lot of short, weary nights. One man who made money that year was Olaf Berlin. For the first time in the 6 years I'd known him, Olaf was paying wages instead of drawing them.
Vint, how much you figure I'm going to get off these horses after I pay you fellas off?
Olaf, I must have told you that a dozen times. You ought to know it by heart now. $3,000. Maybe a little more, a little less. Anyway, enough to get you home.
$3,000. Man, that'll sure go a long way in Minnesota.
We're quite a distance right here in Arizona, oh. Want to set them up when we hit town tomorrow night?
Well, for you, Quinn, the rest of the boys, but I ain't taking none. No, sir, not for me.
Not one little swallow, huh?
Not even one little swallow.
If you fellas could see that farm back home. Men have to see it to believe it. Lakes, fishing streams, and trees thicker than the bristles on a briar. And right paying in the middle of it, my pa's land. Cleared as clean as your hand. The wheat waving. That's what I've been waiting 6 years to get back to. Saving my wages every year
and blowing them on a party the first time you hit town.
Not this time, Vint. It's gonna be different. It's gotta be different.
Yeah, how come?
My pa hurt his back this spring. I gotta go back and help him on the farm. Hired man's let the whole place go to pot. You know how hired men are.
I know how this hired man is, thirsty. Come tomorrow night, me and coffee ain't speaking. Oh, I can see it now. He's standing in Jubal Carney's place with my foot on the rail and a little old glass of sunshine going down just smooth as cream.
That's enough, Quinn.
It's all right, Vint. He ain't gonna keep me from going home.
It was about time you got wise to something. This is home. For you as much as us. All the dirt and sweat and rancid bacon and weebly hardtack you can eat. You ain't no better and no different than the rest of us.
I think you're wrong, Quinn. I think Olaf's a green country farmer.
Used to be. He's just a plain dirt cowpoke now. Besides, ain't he a pretty big boy to be needing you as a wet nurse?
I hope that was an accident, Quinn.
Soon, Bonner. Real soon.
$3,200, Vint. Here, Vint, pay him off. I ain't much of a bookkeeper. $50.
Still going to set him up for us, so? That is, if Mr. Bonner don't mind.
That'll cover it.
And I'll leave your change with the bartender.
He won't be seeing the bartender. Just to make sure, Olaf, why don't you put that money back in the bank till you leave tomorrow morning?
Sure, Vint. That's a good idea.
That won't do any good.
They're still in there. I can hear them.
Hear him or not? Bank's closed. I suppose you boys run on about your business.
Well, Marshal, he just wanted to lock his money up.
If you raise any more ruckus, I'm going to lock you up.
So that's your big, dumb Olaf, is it?
But look, kid. Not a good he's going to do us if he gets himself tossed in jail. Say your name's Berlin, eh? Yours?
Ed Bonner.
I've heard tell of you. You're in town hunting trouble.
I never hunt trouble, Marshal. Sometimes it has a habit of finding me.
It better not find you in this town. The hotel's right across the street. They'll lock up your money in their safe.
Come on, Olaf. Much obliged, Marshal.
You worry too much, Quinn. Things will work out. They always do.
Still leading the lambs to slaughter, boy?
Now, I never saw you pass up your share of the lamb chops, Dixie.
I guess I had that coming. Who's the lamb this time?
Big one. Plenty wool. Only hitch is he's got a ramrod. It won't let a man near him.
Doesn't have to be a man.
All right. What do you want me to do?
Like you didn't know.
You got a place around here where a man put his money?
Sure, mister. We do it for trail crews all the time.
You sure that thing's safe?
Safe as a bank. Phew. No wonder you're worried. That's quite a roll.
Biggest one I ever had. Means a whole lot to me. You let anything happen to it? No.
Nothing's going to happen to it. Your room's number 12, top of the stairs. The boy will bring you hot water.
You coming, Vent?
No, I'm going at the stable. Seemed to me Scar was favoring one of his hoofs. And don't give him a dollar of it unless I say so.
Why not? It's his, isn't it?
Yeah, but it wouldn't be if it was in his pocket.
You mean there's those that would try to separate him from it?
That's the idea.
Whatever you say, mister.
Pretty slick. Where'd you learn it? The carnival?
What are you talking about?
Well, you short-counted me.
You got $50. 5 tens, just like all the rest of us.
5 tens, huh? 4 tens. Fixed to look like 5.
I'll say it again. You got the same as all the rest of us.
Yeah, only 10 of my 50's in your pocket, and I'm having it.
Trouble found you after all. Now listen to me. I didn't start this.
Didn't start it. Short-counted me and then like to bust my jaw.
Listen to me, Marshal. We had a run-in back at camp. He's still packing a grudge.
Sorry, Bonner. You can tell all that to the judge in the morning.
In the morning?
I'm afraid you'll be spending the night as a guest of the county. Let's go.
Mr. Bonner back yet?
No, sir, he isn't.
It's funny. Shouldn't have took him this long at the livery stable. Oh, hi, Quinn. You seen Vent?
Well, no, I thought it was with you.
Oh, he went down to the livery stable and ain't got back yet.
Well, maybe he's over in the saloon.
Him? After telling me to stay out?
Well, maybe you don't know Bonner like you think you do. If he's such a good friend of yours, how come he run out on you?
Run out on me? Oh, he ain't no such thing. He's out here.
Just over there having a little glass of cheer on the sly, maybe. Oh, what do you care? If he wants to get himself in trouble, that's his lookout.
Trouble?
Oh, now I hear how he cuts loose when he gets too many under his belt.
You mean Vent? I don't believe it. Still, maybe I ought to check up.
Wouldn't hurt none. I'll walk over with you.
Come on. You can take this. Come on, you're stronger. Come on. There you go.
Oh, the man's a regular bull, isn't he?
Hey, you ever see such muscles? Where'd you get them, Ola? Lifting anvils for exercise?
Them farm muscles, Dixie. Harvesting the wheat and bringing in the hay.
Think I could wear this old garter around my neck?
Mighty pretty little neck, Dixie. I bet you could. Just like a necklace. Wish it's diamonds.
How come you only wear one?
Oh, well, I wasn't around my money.
What money? You haven't stood a treat all evening.
That's right, Ol. Till now, the party's been on us.
You know why I ain't spending. I gotta save my money for my farm. Besides, when I start buying drinks for the house...
It's kind of customary, Ol.
Oh, stop bothering him and go find yourself another friend. Chances are he hasn't got any money anyway.
I got plenty of money. Only... What do you mean about find yourself another friend?
It's my job, Olaf. Getting the customers to spend a little of their extra cash. I thought you knew.
Never thought about it, I guess.
Well, don't think I like it. Every night I come to work here, I feel dirty. Oh, I tried other jobs when I landed here. They didn't even pay hotel rent, let alone save up a stake to get me back east.
Back east?
Ohio. I better do what Carney says before he decides to fire me.
Not while I'm here to look after you. You're gonna stay right here till I get back. And you ain't sitting with nobody but me. Not tonight, you ain't. I'm gonna show you a role you ain't gonna soon forget. Fire you, huh? You'll see about that.
Olaf, wait.
Hold my money.
Mr. Bonner said...
I want my money now. You understand me now?
But Mr. Bonner said...
I know, but I said I want my money.
He said not to give it to you.
Marshal, will you let me out of here? I'll pay Quinn the $10.
Oh, can't let you out after you're entered on the books.
But if I don't keep a check ran on Olaf, he's liable to...
I don't see why you have to. You locked up his money like you said.
Yes, I know.
Well, then there's nothing to worry about.
Well, you really did it this time. Where are you going to get another steak like that?
Don't rub it in, Vince. I don't know why you put up with a lunkhead like me anyhow.
The clerk at the hotel's a lunkhead. I told him not to give you the money.
Don't blame him. I made him do it.
Can you tell me why?
Well, they got the hoorah on me over at the saloon about not buying drinks for the crowd. And ouch!
Well, what were you doing there in the first place?
Looking for you.
For me?
Well, you didn't come back to the hotel, and I started looking for you, and Quinn said you might be over at Connie's place.
Quinn said? I think we ought to have a talk with Quinn.
We'll talk. Without this. Yours too.
Well, I'm afraid you got the wrong bull by the horns, Marshal. Why, Ol's my friend. Why would I slug him?
For his money. When a man has a bankroll, he generally spends some of it. That's something he didn't do. At least, not here.
Why did you steer him in here looking for Bonner? You know all the time I got Bonner locked up. Look, it wasn't me that robbed the squarehead. Haven't been out of here since he left.
None of us have been out all evening. Right, Dixie?
I guess so.
You don't sound very sure.
They were here all evening.
You're lying. You're in cahoots with them.
That's enough of that. You had your cry. You better vamoose while you're all in one piece.
I'm sorry I had to do that, Olaf.
You're sorry. Why didn't you swing on the ones that robbed me? You ain't even searched him yet.
Well, go ahead if you think we got his bankroll.
It's up to you, Marshal. But let me tell you something. I'm not used to having my place wrecked and being called a thief all in one evening. All right. Go ahead. Get it off your mind. If they had it, it's buried too deep for us to find it.
You mean you're gonna let him get away with it? Well, I ain't.
You better lock him up for his own good.
Lock me up? Never figured you'd sell me out, Vet. Always figured you for a friend.
Come on, things will look a lot better in the morning. The way you're looking at him, you'd think he's gonna die. He won't.
The question is, what are you going to do about it?
What can I do? The way I look at it, you couldn't find a dollar of it now with a bloodhound. Bonner, I just can't go up and down that street out there going through people's pockets. When a man wears a badge, he's got rules.
Well, I don't wear a badge, and I've got one little hunch.
Who is it?
My name's Bonner. I want to talk to you.
You talk to me in the morning.
I'll talk to you now.
Just a minute. What do you want?
Almost $3,000.
The pay isn't that good at Carney's place, mister. Besides, there were other girls there tonight. Why pick on me?
You were with Olaf.
I'm not fooling, mister. You've got no business going through my things. Put it back.
Pay must be pretty good at Kearney's. One night's work?
Too many nights' work. All right, get out.
Gonna leave your working clothes?
If I ever wear a thing like that again... I didn't take his money!
I think you know who did. Was it Carney? Quinn? Both of them?
Leave me alone!
I'll leave you alone when you tell me what I want to know. Who put you onto him? Carney?
Carney paid me to work on all the customers. Keep them spending. I didn't do it because I wanted to. It happens to be the only job that pays enough.
Pays enough for what?
To get out of this country. Oh, I know what you're thinking. What am I doing here? It's like quicksand. Easy to fall into and hard to crawl out of. I was going to be married. When I got off the stage, he wasn't here to meet me. He'd gone. Do you know what it is to be scared, giant and homesick?
I know how Olaf feels about Minnesota.
To me, it's Ohio. A little farm on the bank of the river. Close enough to hear the steamboats pass. The flowers in summer, bright as that dress I wear at Carney's. Don't you see I've got to get out of here? Can't you understand?
Olaf had a chance to get out, too. First time in 6 years. Now he won't make it. You will. He won't.
$50. That's what they gave me. Maybe it'll help. Connie and Quinn have the rest of it. Quinn will probably be leaving town tonight. He doesn't stay around long after the job's finished.
Thanks. I had to be sure. I just had a talk with Dixie. Have to do something about that young lady. She talks too much.
Have to do something about him so he won't.
I don't know whether I'll get all this money back or not. But I'm going to take care of you two, Sharks. Make it easier on the next poor devil that comes down the line.
Remember back at camp, Bonner? I said soon. Well, this is it.
Where's the money?
I told you before, I ain't got it. Where's the money? No, don't hit me. I get it. I'll get it right now.
Thank you, Marshal.
You mind me, only milk, all the way to Minnesota.
Don't worry, Mr. Berlin. I'm not working for Carney anymore. I'm going home, too. Thanks to Mr. Bonner.
Fine friend. An awful fine friend. Wonder if he's got any place to go home to. Like me and you, honey.
Mighty lucky. Both of them.